Hello everyone, Tervan Sarnai to all. Good evening, dear Dhamma friends. I am Bhanthe Pesala from Labunoru Forest Monastery in the north central province of Sri Lanka. It's a pleasure to meet you all to talk to you about and discuss Dhamma, the noble teachings of the Buddha. So after the talk, I'll be very pleased and happy to answer any of your questions. Let's begin by paying homage to the Samma Sambuddha. All together, let's worship the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammam sangham namassami. And also, let's invite the Deva to join with us. Samanta Chakravalesu Atra Gachantu Devata Saddhammang Munirajassa Sunanto Sagga Mokhadang Dhammasavana Kalo Ayang Bhadanta Dhammasavana Kalo Ayang Bhadanta Dhammasavana Kalo Ayang Bhadanta. Dear Dhamma friends, today I am going to discuss with you Samiddha Sutra as I planned. This sutra is mentioned in the Anguttara Nikaya, third chapter, Sutta number 21. So there I am going to talk about uh, different types of sacred disciples. So it's a obvious thing in the world when we are considering about the human and other beings. We can see the differences amongst the people. Like when we are take just a family, in the family we can see different characteristics amongst the human beings, and also the different views and opinions, different complexions. So if you observe a family, if you observe a country, and if you observe whole world, so those kind of differences are very much available. So in the Buddha's dispensation also, these kind of difference are available even amongst the enlightened beings. So here in this sutra, we are talking about three kinds of Seka disciples. So I will, after the sutra, I will explain the how it has happened. So when we let's just begin the sutta. Thus, I have heard on one occasion, the fortunate one was living at Savatthi, at Jetas Grove in Anathapindika's monastery. Then Venerable Samiddha and Venerable Mahakottita and Venerable uh, Maha Sariputta. So these three enlightened beings, Arahanteros, had a discussion. When they were living in the Savatthi, they had the discussion. Venerable Sariputta said at the beginning, Venerable Samiddha, there are these three kinds of people are found in the world. What are three? The body witness, in Pali it is a Kaya Sakki, and Diktapatta, that means view attainer, and Saddha Vimukta, that means the faith liberated. Venerable, these are the three kinds of people found in the world. Venerable, of these three kinds of people, which one appeals to you as the best and most transcendent and the most excellent. Sariputta Thera asking from the Savitta Thera out of the three different Sega disciples, here talking about Sega disciples. Sega disciples mean, someone with the Sammaditthi, with the first stage of the eight noble eightfold path, when someone entered to the path with the fusion of Sotapanna, then they are he those disciples known as Seka disciples. The meaning of the Seka means they are about to become enlightenment, and they have to be follow some kind of training. So that's the meaning of Seka. And when they followed the training and when they fully enlightened as Arahanteros, so they were known as Aseka. Aseka means they have completely uh, liberated and completely enlightened. So that is the meaning of the Seka and Aseka. Here, the Seka mean, one disciple when they become enlightened with the fruition of Sotapanna. So uh, they were known as they known as Seka disciples. So among the Seka disciples, there are these three types of Seka disciples available. One is called Saddha Vimukta. That is because he is having more faith than the other faculties. And one is called Kaya Sakki. That means he is having more samadhi with compared to other faculties. And another one is called Dittapat. Dittapat means he is having prajna or the wisdom with compared to other faculties. So I will explain in the latter part of the sutta. They just when just go through the sutta. So whenever Sariputta asking from the whenever Savitta there, whenever Savitta there's response was that he said, out of these three, whenever Savitta was thinking that the most transcendent and most excellent one is the Saddha Vimukta one, he had declared his opinion. And when Sariputta Thero asked the same question from the Mahakottita Thera. So, you may have heard some suttas. Mahakottita Thera, very famous and popular Arahant being, he had done lots of sutras, very valuable and important sutras. So, Sariputta Thera asked him from the Mahakottita Thera the same question. At that time, Mahakottita Thera response was, Bhante, I think I consider the body witness or the Kaya Sakhi one is the best out of these three. Then Mahakottita Thera asked back from the Sariputta Thera. Then Sariputta Thera's response was, he considers out of these three types of disciples, I think the most uh, excellent and most transcendent being is the Dittapada. So even amongst the three enlightened beings, there are three kinds of opinions. So, since they have enlightened, there is no argument, but they were unable to find one particular answer. And for your better understanding, if you go through Gosingasala Sutta and Majje Sutta, and also if you can go through there are so many among sutras are there, like different opinions are uh, declaring by the enlightened beings. So ultimately the Buddha has sorted out all these matters. So these uh, three disciples, the three Arahant Theras went up to the Buddha and asked the same question from the Buddha. At that time, our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, beautifully elaborated why these differences are happening. Uh, then Buddha explained that, at first, Savitta Thera, he declared that out of these three, he thought the Saddhavimutta one is the best one. That is because this Savitta Thera become an arahant because of he's having more saddha with compared to other faculties. That's why he considered out of out of these three Seka disciples, the Saddhavimutta one. That means the disciples who are having more faith than the other faculties. So he considered Saddhamutta one is the best. And Mahakottita Thera, he is having more samadhi. Since he declared that out of these three, the Kaya Sakki mean, body witness. Body witness mean Kaya Sakki disciples, they are having samadhi. So, first stage, they do samadhi well and they achieve the jhanas, first, second, and up to the eight. And when they gain the jhanas, then at the second stage, they are doing vipassana and they become enlightened. So, Mahakottita Thera was such kind of a monk. So, he considered the Kaya Sakki is the one because he is having more samadhi. And Venerable Sariputta, for the same question, he answered as he thought the Prajnaputta one is the best out of three. That is because Sariputta Thera, he is a he's the most prominent character after the Buddha in this Buddha's teaching. So he's a very wise one, the Panya one. So he considered Dittapat is the one. That means one who have elaborated with the prajna. So Buddha said after three disciples went up to the Buddha and passed the when they had done the necessary venerations to the Buddha and had some cordial discussion, and after that the same question asking from the Buddha, and at that time Buddha said, there are these three kinds of enlightened beings following different paths. I mean, they are going through the same noble eightfold path, but in different rates. I mean, some are leading the path because of the saddha, some are leading the path because of the uh, samadhi, and some are leading the path because of the prajna. So the Buddha said, though they are having different faculties, they are achieving the same nibbana. So because of that, it is so hard even Buddha to declare which one is the best. So because they are having the same purpose of getting rid of this samsara journey. So Buddha said even Buddha was unable to declare particular person as the best. So all are equal. So that is the lesson. I mean, we can learn from the sutra. So as a disciples, it's very important to understand that when we know about them, and if we want to go through the path, then we have to understand about pancha indriya. Pancha indriya means there are five faculties. Those are mental thoughts. Those are known as chaitasika. Chaitasika means mental concomitants. Those five indriyas or the faculties which are available in the mind, they are mainly help us to go through the path. So as a disciple, it is very important thing to identify those faculties in the mind, and we have to balance them. We have to enhance them, and finally we have to balance them. Then when we are becoming enlightenment, at least by achieving the sotapanna, the five faculties has to be balanced. So the first faculty is known as Saddhindriya. Saddhindriya means uh, the faith, devotion. In commentaries, it's a beautiful explanation how Saddhindriya explained. It is said, Adimokke lakhana indanatham karetiti Saddhindriya. That means uh, Adimokka Laksana. Adimokka Laksana means to identify the saddha. That means if I having saddha, that I can identify saddha because of these characteristics. What is what are them? I do have when I am having the saddha, firm resolution towards the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, and devotion, trust, faith, clear conviction, and decision, certainty about the path, confidence that uh, we know it for sure that when we have the faith towards the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, we'll find the happiness that we are searching for. That is known as the Saddha. So, for that, we need to understand about the qualities of the Buddha. There are nine main qualities. about the Buddha. So when we know about these qualities, we can do the Buddha Anusati, or the contemplation of the Buddha's qualities. That will be an easy path for getting the samadhi. So that is one such example for Sadindriya, or the faculty of the faith. And this Savitadera is having much Saddha. That's why as I explained, he declared the out of these three Theka disciples, the the one who have more samadhi, they are the best. And the second faculty is known as Virya Indriya. Virya, the energy. Actually, when we translate as like that, difficult to gain the properly translate the Pali terms, because it doesn't give the proper meaning of the Pali words when we are translating to English. So I have just go through lots of sermons, and I have find lots of translations for these words. So in commentaries, the Virendra further explained, Pagga lakkane indanattam karayati virendriya. Pagga lakkana mean, so when we are having the virendriya, or uh, the faculty of energy, there are some certain things can be observed from our mind. Those are known as exertion, energy, lifting, and striving capacity. And we are having more effort and perseverance within our mind, and stretching forth, the nature of stretching forth towards the path, and endeavor, that so those are the characteristics that can be seen when we are having the virya faculty, or the faculty of energy. That is the second aspect. So to balance those faculties, first we must identify whether we have these faculties or not. And the third is known as Satindriya. Satindriya, mostly translated as mindfulness. Uh, it is said in commentaries, Upattana Lakkane Indanattang Satindriya. That means when we are having the sati, mindfulness is just one aspect. Just imagine that it's a mindfulness. It gives you some kind of idea, but it doesn't give the uh, true meaning of sati. So in different translation, different words are given for the sati. It says like, in commentaries it say upatthana lakkane indanatta. So when we are having the sati, it upatthana lakkana. Upatthana mean it just attend, it just looking after the path, and it just care, it just ministering, establishing the mind. So when we are having the sati, that means sati is the best thing that when we are mind, we are very attentive, and we are very aware what is going on with the mind. So people are believing mostly that we can do practice sati when we are doing only the meditation. It's not like that. When you are being when you are having sati, even when you are doing morality, when you are doing dana, even when you are doing any kind of daily activities, you can maintain the sati. So those are the characteristics when you are having the sati. So you could see these uh, characteristics within your mind, like you are looking after about your mind, and you are attending to your mind, and you are establishing your mind. I mean, if you have any kind of kammatthana, you are just establishing that kammatthana in your mind. So this sati is very important faculty. The when out of five faculties, when the suppose saddha faculty, when you practice saddha more without considering other faculties, it will be harmful. Like when you are having only saddha without prajna, then at that time it will be a problem. Like people are going beyond Buddha to to wish to make wishes for everything. Suppose if one face a family trouble, he just go to the Buddha and just mm, request in the solutions for the family troubles. Buddha is not there for us to, I mean, providing family solutions for family troubles. He just appeared to this world to to find us the liberation, of complete liberation or the nirvana. So people, doing that because of they are having only the saddha without wisdom. But here the satindriya is, satindriya is very, sati faculty is very special because the if you put more focus on the sati, it will it will not make any, I mean, negative side, because when you having more sati mean it's more better in the path. So that is and also the satindriya only available in the wholesome side. Without sati you cannot perform wholesome side, wholesome karma, wholesome activities, even bhavana. Without sati we cannot do. So when we are performing unwholesome activities, we do have some kind of sati, because we have to be mindful now at that time, even when we are doing a bad thing. But in Buddhism, that that sati which in the unwholesome activities are not considered as sati, because it's a mithya sati, and it doesn't help at all when we are going through the path of the uh, dhamma. So sati is a very important faculty out of these five. And the fourth one is known as samadhindriya. Samadhindriya also, mostly translated as concentration. That doesn't give us the proper meaning. So in commentaries, it's explained. Avikhepa lakkane indattam kareti samadhi. Avikhepa lakkana. That is the most prominent characteristic when we are having the samadhi. That is the uh, that is how we have to identify. So in English, there are so many translations available. Uh, we can say samadhi as calmness, tranquility, mental balance, and a non-distraction of the mind, stability of the mind, firmness of the mind, and peacefulness and settling of the mind, one pointedness, unification of the mind. So likewise, there are so many translation available. I mean, by just giving one translation for the word samadhi, mostly translated as concentration, no, that doesn't give you the proper idea. Concentration is just a tiny aspect of samadhi. So likewise, there are so many meanings available. So the most prominent thing to identify the samadhi is known as avikhepa lakkana. Avikhepa means, as I said, the mind has the control and calmness, tranquility, and such kind of thing, as I explained. So we have to be very mindful on those factors. And finally, we talk about the most prominent. Even out of these five faculties, Panyindri, or the faculty of wisdom, is the most prominent one. It is known as Dassana Lakkane Indanattam Karetiti. Dassana Lakkana. Pratnyindri means Dassana mean we can see things. It's like an eye. Last time I talked about this sight, eyesight. When we having the eyesight, we can see things clearly with our physical eye. So Dassana Lakkana, this wisdom is kind of a eye. When we have the wisdom eye, we can see the reality well. So out of five faculties, the Panjindriya best one. In commentaries, it's beautifully explained, and it said like if you keep uh, five ministers, four ministers, and on that country, or on that community of administrators, out of four ministers and one king. So king has the more power. So similarly, if you keep these five faculties, the Saddhindriya, Virindriya, Samadhindriya, I mean, Saddha mean faith, and Virya mean energy, and Samadhi mean, peacefulness of the mind, and uh, Satindriya mean. So out of those four five faculties are like ministers, but the Panindriya out of these five faculties are like, it is like the king of the amongst the minister. So it has the more power. So the Panindri is very important in the path. You know, uh, from when you to become enlightened as a Sotapanna, the most prominent factor is the wisdom faculty, because uh, when we heard the Dhamma, we have to be mindfully contemplated on the Dhamma, then only we can understand the Dhamma and become enlightenment as a Sotapanna disciple. So in there, the Panyindriya doing a most important factor. So it's say when Sotapanna become enlightenment, he considered, Dassana, Dassana in a Sampanno. That means he has the vision to see the reality of the Dhamma. So here the Panjindri also explained that, as I said, Dassana Lakkana Indanatankariti. Because when he having the wisdom eye, he can see the things. I mean, not the physical things. He can see through the whole world because he know how to manage the things in the eye of the Dhamma. So that is the nature of the Panjindriya. So for the Panjindriya also, I mean, there are lots of translation available in the uh, English scenario. I mean, in English, so many translation available, but that doesn't give you the proper meaning. So because of that, I just go through and found some meanings about the Panya. So some are known as the power of wisdom, and some say faculty of understanding Dhamma. Some say insight, uh, distinctive knowledge, and discerning ability, freedom from ignorance, free from delusion, investigating capacity of Dhamma, examining capabilities, analyzing capability, ability of seeing things, possessed with higher cognition, intuitive knowledge, and intelligence on Dhamma. So these are, I mean, even we know every one of them. It doesn't, give you the proper translation of the Panya. So, but they are fulfilling some kind of, I mean, aspect of the Panya. So with that, it's important to understand for us to these five faculties, and we have to be observed when you're within your mind when some factors are not enough, some faculties are not mature enough, then our duty is to, I mean, balance them. By balancing them, we are going through the path. That is the main characteristic of a, I mean, true follower of the Dhamma. So with that, I am just ending the sutra part, and if you have any questions, it's a pleasure for me to answer them. So one question is there, like asking, dear Bhante, if someone has highly developed Panya Indriya, will it help to attain Sotapanna faster than the others? Um, yes, it's an obvious factor that in 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 the Dhamma it's explained that Trihetuka Pratisandhi. Trihetuka mean uh, from the birth we should have some kind of prajna, the wisdom. It's called Trihetuka Prajna. That means when we have, due to our past lives, good karma, we we have to be born as the wise one. Suppose if I born as a unwise person, like I cannot understand general things. We can see some people are in the world, even amongst the Buddhists, they are not they don't have the wit. I mean, generally they have less amount of wisdom, so they cannot understand. So by birth, the intelligent or the wise one, they can easily understand the Dhamma. And when they follow Sila Samadhi and other faculties, when they try to balance other faculties, the one who are having more wisdom, they can easily attain the Sotapanna and other fruitions as well. Question. Namaste. How is Kanti helpful? Uh, Kanti mean patience. Yeah, it's definitely helpful, and it's not Kanti. It's it's not considered as a Indian, but it is very helpful. I mean, Kanti paraman tapo titikha. Kanti mean uh, the patience is the most uh, paramount. I mean, important thing as a uh, follower for the bhikkhu. It is very important. The kanti patience, it is very important. But uh, uh, under these faculties, patience is not coming. But it has to be developed. It is very important. Without kanti, without patience, we cannot practice even these five faculties. So since it is, even though it is beyond, it is not mentioned in the within the five faculties, kanti is very important. That's why the Buddha said kanti paramanta apotitika. It is the most prominent characteristics we must practice as a bhikkhu. As human beings, we are born with panya, but at different levels. So, could one develop the level of panya he was born with during his lifetime? Then, how one should approach this? So, that's why, yeah, it's an important question. Even the Buddha's time, some monks, when hear the Dhamma, just one stanza, he attained the enlightenment. That is because they were in the higher level of panya. And so another type, another group of people, after Buddha explained detail wise the Dhamma, understood the Dhamma. And some followers were there. They practice for a long period of time. I mean, some monks are there, 60 years they have hardly strived and attained the Dhamma. So those are due to their different level of wisdom. And the fourth type of disciples, even the Buddha preached Dhamma, they were unable to they are not able to understand Dhamma in this within this life. Those are known as Pada Param. I mean, they are having the lower level of wisdom. But still, there are some ways and means to develop Panya. So that's why, when we are in school, suppose we have to do mathematics, and when we, so in the beginning, if we are not clever enough to solve the mathematics, and if we just leave it there from at the beginning, we will never be improved. So at least from the, if we want to become a good intelligent mathematician, at least from the beginning we have to develop that skill by little. So similarly, uh, suppose there are persons, they have no they have lower level of wisdom, they can improve the panya. So they can contemplate on, they can learn about these faculties. And when they are learning about dhamma, we going to hear about five aggregates. That means you know five clinging of aggregates, panchapadanakkhandha. And we hear about sermons salayatana, mean about six sense bases. And we know, we hear dhamma about 18th element. There are, Buddha categorized all the things into 18th elements, so we can learn about them, and we can contemplate about them. And we know about the paticcasamuppada, or the dependent origination. So when we go through and when we try to understand them, how it, it's a kind of a science, no, when we go through how it happening, by going through this kind of sutra, we can develop the panya. By developing in that way, sometime within this life we may not able to achieve any sotapanna position, but in the coming lives, in the future lives, it will definitely help for us to understand the dhamma. So even the Buddha's time, by just hearing two stanza, some disciples have attained enlightenment. That is because in previous lives, They have practiced the dharma. You know, Bahiyatera, at when he understand the arhanship, he was in the middle of the road. He just questioned the Buddha and Buddha answered. Then and there he got enlightenment with the position of arahant. That is because in previous life, he, being a monk, he practiced so hardly, even giving up the life. So that is the reason that he attained the enlightenment this life very easily. So it doesn't matter that we cannot say exactly that we are going to become enlightened or not, but we have to practice, we have to try. Then once the necessary conditions are filled, that will bring come to us. So with that, question session is over. So I would like to end the Dhamma discussion. Uh, let's do Anumodana. First, I would like to remind my teachers, Maan Kadwala Sudarsana Thera and Maan Kadwala Nandaratana Thera, and especially Venerable Kotmale Kumara Kasapa Thera. And I would like to share my merits also to Bhante Sudasu and Ayasoma and all the residents of the Empty Cloud Monastery, as well as those who have participated in the Dhamma talk in person and online, and to all sentient beings, uh, all beings, the 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 one who have mentioned, and everyone may gain these, may share these merits, and with these merits and with the infinite qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, may they be well, be happy, and may they find the eternal peace with the attainment of the Nibbana. එත්තාවතාච අම්මිහි සම්පදං පුඤ්ඤ සම්පදං සබ්බේ දේවා අනුමෝදන්තු සබ්බේ සත්තා අනුමෝදන්තු සබ්බේ භූතා අනුමෝදන්තු සබ්බ සම්පත්ති සිද්ධියා. And also I would like to bless you all with the infinite triple gems. අභිවාදන සීලිස්ස නිච්ඡං වද්ධා පචායිනෝ චත්තාරෝ ධම්මා වඩ්ඩන්ති ආයුවන්නෝ සුඛං බලං ආයු ආරෝග්‍ය සම්පatti සග්ග සම්පatti මේවච අතෝ නිබ්බාන සම්පatti ඉමිනාතේ සමිජ්ජතු. Thank you very much to you all. I shall see you next session. Teruvan Saranai to everyone, and to good night to you all.